You already know what it is, man. Without Warning New York, episode 2. Today we talking about how the fuck did they make this and also this.
Yeah, so basically we're going to go over the consensus worst album of an artist and talk about their best. But before we get into it, join the rocket ship. The team's going up. Hit the subscribe button. We're getting to 100K by the end of the year. That's the goal. Hit the fucking subscribe button. All right, let's run it up. First person we're talking about is Rocky. So how the fuck he make Testing, but also At Long Last ASAP?
Because he's elite. So when you got a floor like Testing, then you kind of know what type of artist you're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, it also goes like it's testing. Like it was not like he was just testing out new shit. Basically, is the idea of that project. But I do agree with you. He's a GOAT.
When you really think about it being a testing album, though, that makes me think even more. Where we should have had new Rocky by now. Yeah, if he's really trying out ideas. But anyways, I think that Testing, if you're looking at all of his actual projects that he put out, putting it at the bottom, I would not say is unfair.
Yeah.
And then you said how the other one was At Long Last ASAP, or?
Yeah, I would say people think that's his best album.
Yeah, 2015, great. Yeah, peak Rocky, great time in music. That has a lot of my favorite Rocky songs as well. So.
Yeah, that's like definitely probably that's a top 10 album like all time for me. Like going back to 2015, I religiously listened to that album. But in 2018, I listened to Testing religiously as well. Like I think that's still an amazing project, but I wouldn't say like it's below average for any type of rap artist in general too. Like Testing's an amazing album. I know a lot of people think that one sucks, and I really don't know why. Because you couldn't tell. If you go to a Rocky show, it's still Testing everything. Yeah. Everybody loves it, but people still say Testing's ass.
Yeah, he was headlining festivals for mad long just off of the Testing set list. But I mean, when you're looking at it, like I think that it's the highlights are real great highlights. Looking at like Praise the Lord, ASAP Forever, Fuck Sleep, amazing song, FKA Twigs, shit like that. But
ASAP Forever is
ASAP Forever, God, Purity with Frank.
Yeah,
but
it's
like,
great.
Even the ones that aren't as great, I don't think that they're ass. I think it's just like a little bit more forgettable. Like they might not go in the rotation as much.
Yeah, I think forgettable is the right word. But when we're talking about like At Long Last ASAP, like there's probably 0 skips on that album, at least to me. I mean, you could even go to like Live Love ASAP and like all the other projects there. Like there's no real skips on those projects either. But At Long Last ASAP is like his rodeo, or I guess like the prior before rodeo. Like that's like the one that everybody gravitated towards. Like you're not really gonna beat it just because he like did everything he could for that sound. Like that mix between Houston and New York style and like merging into one was just crazy. Facts. At Long Last.
So I would agree that I think these rankings are fair.
Yeah. Hopping into the next one though, how the fuck Chance the Rapper make The Big Day, but also make The Coloring Book?
Damn. The crazy thing I thought you were gonna say how did he also make Acid Rap?
Yeah.
But Acid Rap and Coloring Book are both great. So
what would you say? Do you think Acid Rap is better than Coloring Book?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit better. I think I just found Chance more relatable at that point, like a little bit more raw. He was younger at the time too. The beats that he was using on it. I mean, I liked a lot of the gospel-inspired stuff on Coloring Book as well, but he was really in that like acid kind of influence bag and more of like the kind of like old school type of like drums that he was using on like Acid Rap, and like the samples were really cool features on that too, with like Absol, Action Bronson.
Yeah,
that was also just a great era, but so was 2016, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think Acid Rap is more important than Coloring Book when you look at music and hip hop as a whole. Like, it's definitely more impactful, like what it did for that SoundCloud era and like to inspire so many other artists. Like, I think there was more of that from Acid Rap. Yeah. But when you go to Coloring Book, I think it's overall a better project. I mean, he had all the resources in the world for Coloring Book, and he made Acid Rap just like on his own independent shit. Yeah. So I mean, it is two different things, and there was machines going behind one and not the other. But to me, I would take Coloring Book for sure. I feel like it's underrated how much Kanye inspired Coloring Book though. At least to me. Like that sound in 2016, like with good music, if you want to include Chance the Rapper in that good music phase, just like they all sound pretty much the same. Like I hear a lot of inspiration from the life of Pablo going into Coloring Book. Like it bleeds through a lot for me.
But I mean, also think though, you have Kanye at that time kind of birthing Travis Scott alongside like Chance the Rapper, and those are two artists with like very opposed sounds, but both stemming from Kanye, which is kind of cool. But
so what happened with the big day?
What happened with the big day? I don't know, bro. I remember when he dropped. Remember when he dropped that like 4-song EP?
Yeah.
That's when I knew that the big day wasn't gonna be it. So,
it was also just a weird rollout. Like I was like, what are you doing with this? More or less, like you came from dropping like big singles for Coloring Book, and then just started like giving us like small EPs that sounded very different.
Yeah.
Like I guess he was probably trying to test the sounds and test the waters for how people would receive it. But like once I heard that, I was just like, it also was so long, bro.
Yeah.
Like between 2016 and 2019, when that shit was coming out, it's like so much shit in music happened.
Yeah, you gotta come
like
with
Uzi, Carti, and everybody had already established themselves as superstars in between those two periods of time. So he came with some shit that was just like a little bit more out there and not as defined.
Yeah,
at least to me.
In 2016, like that was when that new SoundCloud wave was really just heating up. So like the more like Atlanta like trap sound that you really hear dominating, like it was in 2019 when the big day came out, was different. So like maybe that's partially like why it wasn't as well received. But I mean, there's still people that loved the Chance the Rapper type of music. He just didn't bring it with that shit. And like honestly, the only song I can really remember off it is Hot Shower, just because it was so ass.
Yeah.
But honest to God, I like stopped listening to that album like 6-7 songs in. You said
I did like
I
a
didn't
little
even make it that long.
Yeah, well, I kind of like heard it was really bad on like I didn't listen to it when it dropped. I just heard it was really bad. So I kind of like skipped between like the starred songs and some of the ones that sounded like they would be kind of good just given the name. And I was just like, bro, Hot Shower was like, oh, starred song. That might be a lit name. You feel me? That shit sounded terrible.
Yeah, bro.
The
vocals were just too much.
Yeah, I don't think he had like the full resources that he had for the Coloring Book. The album didn't have the hype, and overall it was just like that. Yeah, you can't. It's hard to back it up at the end of the day, just because the final result was just like not there. Like I don't think. But honestly, the big day made me go back and like Coloring Book less than I did.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Because it just left a weird taste in your mouth.
Yeah, and you couldn't get
and
how his voice sounded on that.
Yeah, you can kind of hear like a little bit, like on the parts of Coloring Book that he's like pushing his vocals a little bit further. You kind of see where that led to. So now it's just like...
Yeah, exactly. Like literally, like even when you go back to things like Blessings and Finish Line, like it's like these are beautiful songs, but like I see where that voice started to stem from. And I can't listen to those songs without thinking like, damn, bro, this is where this went?
Yeah.
Nah, I can't. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people might agree with us as well.
We were talking about acid rap for a second, though, like, and you were mentioning how important it was. That shit was really crazy because that's coming right at the end of the blog era and being kind of one of the last
a real change of the times
to really come out of like. He probably put that on like Dat Piff and everything, and like was getting written up about it. On, like,
was it an album you could buy though, or was it just free?
I think it was just free. Other
That's what
than
I
that,
thought.
I listened to it on SoundCloud. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I would listen to it on SoundCloud as well. So I thought it was like one of those albums like it took on the streaming platform.
Yeah, it's like saying it was like one of those ones that was big in that transition, and then like Chance the Rapper too is kind of underrated SoundCloud figure.
Yeah,
because like. It usually gets the like guys that make more of the trap kind of sound kind of get like more of a credit for like starting the SoundCloud wave. But just in terms of talking about like SoundCloud as a platform, like, he was huge in helping that grow.
I feel like he's always gonna ride that out though. I mean, a lot of the SoundCloud guys do, but they kind of got bigger. He's one of the people from the SoundCloud era that was really, really big and started to fall. Like he was probably the first to like fall off kind of from that SoundCloud era outside of like, I guess the Lil Pumps.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd even say fell off though. Just like he's been so quiet.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, bro, he's released singles the past few years though. I don't know if you've listened to him, but he's actually released a few singles like last year and a few before then with music videos and everything like that. He's really like doubling and tripling down on like the gospel rap and like using those samples and stuff like that, which is cool. Like it's better than the big day, but I don't know if he's coming back from that. Yeah. Honestly, like I don't know if people would just get in the hype factor that they were again in 2016 for like Chance the Rapper, unless he just comes with a huge hit. That's like a bad habit.
Yeah, I mean, like there's just so much competition, and everybody only has limited time in the day to listen to what they want. So, it might be out of a lot of people's diet of music.
It would just take an insane run, honestly. Next person though, J. Cole. How the fuck you make KOD, but make 2014 Forest Hills Drive?
Because he's nice, bro. KOD isn't a bad album.
I don't like KOD personally.
Really?
Yeah, it's not my favorite, honestly. Like, it's good. Like, objectively, it's like a really good hip hop project, like I would say it's like a 6 or something like that, which is definitely above average. But like I wouldn't say I really go back to it. Like I don't like a lot of the choruses on that project, but it did influence a lot of people like JID and stuff like that. Like everyone on the Dreamville side, like that seemed like a big project for all of them because that sound is like how kind of they sound like now. But to me, I wasn't like a big fan.
Yeah, I mean,
of like a lot of the choruses.
He was probably snapping harder in the Dreamville tapes that year, but like I don't know, when I don't listen to it a ton now either, but when I just like hear some of those songs like ATM and like Kevin's Heart and shit, I just get like pretty good memories from
I wouldn't say I did. Bro, I listened to that album with my friends the second that shit dropped. And I was like, it's cool. Like his raps are hard, but he was like super like big on like the repetitive short like staccato choruses on that album, at least to me. And then if they weren't that, it was like kind of like singing kind of like Kevin's Heart choruses like that. And I just didn't vibe with it like that. Like I just didn't get the point of the album, more or less. Like in 2014 Forest Hills Drive, he took you back to all the experiences he had growing up and all his problems growing up, which led to him wanting to be a rapper and even the problems between that. Like I didn't really get the whole point of KOD. Maybe I'm missing a bigger point to that album, but when you talk about 2014 Forest Hills Drive, like it's just uncomparable.
Yeah, it's definitely his best album, but the one like that people are gonna hate me even more for that I really didn't like rock with that much was For Your Eyes Only. For me, like going right from 2014 Forest Hills Drive to that was disappointing to me. And I know that that's crazy to a lot of people because a lot of people deadass put that as their favorite.
It's a deep album. Like he talks real shit on that album.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that's what people go to J. Cole for. But he like opened himself up a little bit deeper.
He did. It was just a little sleepy though. Like I'll compare that shit to like a Mr. Morale, but like Mr. Morale kind of sounds better.
Yeah.
Or like I don't know.
Yeah, I like For Your Eyes Only.
I like old J. Cole a lot too, like Born Sinner days.
If I'm listening to
the Sideline Story, because that's just when he's still hungry, but he's definitely like content in a way, or like at peace with where he is in his life. Like back then, like he was just trying to get on bad. You could just hear it in the music.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big like old J. Cole guy, and I really didn't even listen to like I did listen to Off Season, but like I wouldn't say I go back to that. I wouldn't say I go back to For Your Eyes Only. I don't go back to the Dreamville tapes, and I probably really don't go back to KOD really at all nowadays. Honestly, like if I'm listening to J. Cole, it's gonna be 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Realistically,
yeah,
like that's it. If you don't, bro, honestly, like. It's crazy to say, but if that's the only album he dropped, like he would still be a legendary rapper.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I go back and listen to like
Workout.
Workout or like Lights Please or like Silent Story, like the intro.
Yeah,
it's like shit like that. But I mean, generally, like there's other rappers and artists in general that I listen to a lot more now. So if I'm in a J. Cole mood for some reason, it probably would be 2014.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm putting on like Apparently, Tale of Two Cities, Hello. Like there's so many great songs off that album. Like literally that whole album is like top to bottom, no skips. And I think objectively, like people from our generation would say that's like a top 10 album, like undeniably for sure. But I wouldn't say I dislike KOD. I just wouldn't put it up there for sure.
But you would say it's crazy that he made both.
I would say that it's just like a weird step down from me. Like I wouldn't say like I said, KOD's not bad, but it's definitely like a step down from like what I was expecting. Like for me, I liked For Your Eyes Only, and I loved Forest Hills Drive. Like he just didn't meet my expectations.
I feel like Forest Hills Drive, he's also giving you not a style of music, but just a whole package of music that only really he could create.
Yeah,
that's just unique. And like 2018 Forest Hills Drive is like, or not 2018, like KOD, yeah. And 2018 is like a little bit more generic. Like you just really have J. Cole like rapping with triplet flows on like trap drums, and you can get that elsewhere.
It just didn't meet expectations for me. Like I went into that album thinking it was going to be like his I'm the fucking greatest and this is why album, and it wasn't that for me. I think that's what the off season kind of ended up being, because I think that was just like one of those like just like ridiculously confident, like I'm talking my shit on this albums, which he did on KOD, but I don't think it like reached the mark that it was supposed to. I feel like people would even agree with that. Like I would be surprised if people genuinely are like KOD is one of J. Cole's best albums.
Yeah, I don't think they are. I think I just like it a little bit better
than me.
You, yeah.
Next person we're talking about. How the fuck Drake make Honestly Nevermind, but also make Take Care?
Because he got versatility and range.
Yeah, because my boy
And he
trying to
makes
sell
good
big
music.
records.
Yeah.
I feel like, honestly, one of the big things about Honestly Nevermind, which is a record I love, like, I genuinely really, really love that album. Like, I think he's trying to get it played at festivals.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, it just sounds like it should be played in like Ibiza or some shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think, like, not to even sound like that, but, like, if, like, you are outside, like, it's applicable music to people that are in, like, more of, like, a party and really social lifestyle. Like, people are like, it's elevator music, but generally, if you're going to, like, a bar to dance or something like that, that's something you could dance to. But if you're also going to try to socialize, it's something that you can talk over, but sounds really nice in your ears in the background. Yeah. So it's like, it's really hitting on like most cylinders that you would want if you're like a real social person and like going out like quite a bit. But like if you're trying to listen to this shit like super deep and get in your like Drake and Drive bag, it's obviously not that album.
I mean, but it does have some on that album though.
It
lyrically.
does, like Liability, stuff like that. But yeah, I think for the overall consensus, like I think it's just like I don't know, like it's just weird to like judge that when you're comparing it to Take Care because they're totally different albums.
Yeah, but I mean the Liability just goes crazy with the like
you hear that
vocals and he was just talking on that. I would say Scorpion is his worst album, but like I see from the reviews that like why Honestly Nevermind would be put that low.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about before. We were like, should we talk about people saying Honestly Nevermind's ass or Scorpion? Because Scorpion is really like Drake's style of an album. Honestly Nevermind's like kind of tapping into a different genre almost. Yeah. But Scorpion is like pretty much straight hip hop, Drake being Drake on that album. But I mean, we could talk about it too. Like if I feel like a lot of people still are disappointed a little bit because of Scorpion, which is the album I really like too. I feel like we had a podcast back in the day too where I was like Scorpion's like his worst album. We were doing a hot takes. I was like Scorpion is his worst album, but it's like a 7 out of 10. At least to me.
I don't know. It's just not a lot that I go back to on that. But it's crazy because like I feel like a lot of kids, like dudes that are in like high school now, like that might be their favorite Drake album.
It could be, bro. It was such a time because it had God's Plan.
Hits, yeah.
God's Plan, Nice for What, and In My Feelings. All in like what I think some of those were singles, but in that like 2-3 week period, he had the top 3 biggest songs competing against each other to go number one.
I'm Upset and like KMT were pretty big too. And, like,
yeah, there's so many songs off that. It was a long album. It was actually a really long album. Nonstop was like I think the hit because when he was doing shows and like people were bringing him out and like when Rocky brought him out at Yams Day, he came out to
I think he likes that song a lot. Like I'm pretty sure he played that in his Apollo set too. He's keeping that one.
Yeah, Nonstop. I fuck with Nonstop. Like it's hype, but it's obviously like not to the level of like a God's Plan or Nice for What.
I always think of like the like NBA playoffs, like commercial transition scenes when I hear that.
Yeah, that shit's hype.
And fucking ATM with J. Cole too. Was one of those. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I remember that because he performed at the Charlotte All-Star game and did a lot of like KOD.
Really?
I think this was like 2019. Like he was like the All-Star Weekend halftime performance or something like that. And it was in Charlotte, obviously his hometown. He was wearing the Charlotte jacket, doing like KOD and shit like that. And I was like, no. I was like, J. Cole fans are probably looking at this shit like, damn, this dude is killing. He's his hometown. I was like, bro, this dude really wore like an all-out Charlotte jacket. Like he's looking kind of corny, at least to me. But I feel like I was just like in my hater bag back then. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. But to Drake's point, like what he did with Take Care is just ridiculous. Like probably one of the best debut albums you could ever have. So it's even hard to compare like any of his other work.
Classics on top of classics on that. You looking at Marvin's Room, looking at Crew Love.
Yeah, you're looking at the whole album. Like even people sleep on like Hate Sleeping Alone and like the deeper songs on that album are just insane. But like he obviously has his best rapping performance on songs like Lord Knows as well.
Songs, Headlines too.
Yeah. Well, fuck the motto. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it actually is insane.
Like whatever you want out of an album, whether it's like hits, super deep raps, personal, party shit, or even like whatever. Like it has everything on that album that you could possibly
Drake
ever
could
need.
Honestly beat most rappers in a verses just
by playing every song on Take Care.
And that's not even my favorite Drake album.
Yeah. What's your favorite? Mine's Nothing Was the Same.
If you're reading this, it's too late.
Damn.
And then I probably got Nothing Was the Same and Take Care close 2 or 3. I don't know.
Those are my top 3. That has to be everyone's top 3. If you're not jacking Nothing Was the Same, Take Care, and If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, like top 3 Drake, I would say you
might just be young. A lot of people put Views in their top 3 too.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. It's dope, but it's also like it's kind of like Take Care though, but just like at least to me, like they're pretty similar. Like, there's a lot of party songs, there's a lot of deep songs, and he's also just like rapping his ass off as well. Like it seemed like they were pretty similar. Like that's the mentality he went for on that project. But like Take Care is just way too classic.
Where do you think Her Loss gets put in his rankings?
It's tough, bro. Like sometimes you just got to see how some of the songs on that album age over time. Like you can't even say like any of these, 10 songs on this album are a certified classic right now.
I mean,
it's weird because all of them go crazy, at least to me. But it's like you can't even really say like what the biggest song off this album is or everyone's consensus favorite, or like if any of these are going to be a classic in like 3 or 4 years.
I find it hard to see it being ranked like above like your Take Cares. If you're reading this, What a Time, Nothing Was the Same, Even Views, or More Life. But I don't know, maybe some of his early projects you could put it above, or like
I don't know, you could put it above like
Scorpion.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like Scorpion.
Honestly, never mind.
More Life. Honestly, never mind. I wouldn't. It's so.
It's
tough.
It's in that range.
It's around through like the 5 to 8 in his ranking for sure. It's just like so hard to tell because if there's just like if we don't get that much more 21 and we don't get that much more Drake, everyone gonna be looking back at this shit like, damn, bro. Like we didn't sleep, but this shit was incredible because like off first listen, you're like this shit has no misses. It's weird though because my favorite songs on it are just Drake, just because I really like the production and he hasn't hopped on like beats that hard in a minute or like came with that type of mentality on those songs. Like I don't really like that album for 21. I like it because like I feel like Drake brought the energy that 21 came with on most of his songs.
Yeah, I mean I really like Middle of the Ocean, like Drake just like rapping like
Privileged
that
Rappers,
shit.
like that's like my shit off that album for
the
real.
More chill shit.
Yeah, but I would say like just to even try to compare those two, it's tough. Like obviously Scorpion's worse than Drake, but I think it just gets such a bad rap. Like It's not a bad album. It's long, but I just don't think it's gonna like rank up when you look at his discography. Yeah. All right, last one though, or we could do 2 more. Mac, we're gonna talk about. First off, what do you think? I would say. We kind of talked about what would you say Mac's worst project is?
I'd say it's Blue Slide Park.
Yeah, that's what I put, just because I feel like people think that is. I would say it is too, but it's just like
a lot of people love it too,
bro. Blue Slide Park outsold Good Kid, Mad City.
Yeah,
first week.
I think it was like the first #1 album by an independent artist in like a long time since like Snoop Dogg or something.
Yeah, and if you look back, Kendrick has gone #1 with every album except for Good Kid, Mad City. Yeah, that's because it lost to Blue Slide Park.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that Blue Slide Park, I'm pretty sure at least first week sales was Mac's most popular album.
It was like 130K or something like that. Might have been more. Like crazy. Yeah, maybe like 150 or something like that. If it sold 200, that's crazy too. But it was a really hyped up album going into it. And then obviously, I would say his best is either Faces or Swimming.
Yeah, I would say it's Faces. Swimming's a good pick too. I just love that like kind of middle career, like watching movies with the sound off,
Mac.
Faces type of Mac, yeah. When
so
he was
like
really dark with it.
Yeah, but the
Swimming
thing
it was too in a way, but
so like Blue Slide Park and Faces really aren't that far apart.
Yeah, he
like
grew a lot.
They came out like 3 years apart. Yeah, realistically. Exactly. Like I don't know about the months involved, but they were made 3 years apart realistically, and they sound completely different. Like he grew so much as an artist in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
And just as a person, like he really just went from like a kid.
Yeah, like
making money.
Yeah, sagging khakis with Jordans and snapbacks to turning into like just this like guy that could play the piano guitar and rap his ass off.
Yeah, well he could always play those actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but like he was showing it a lot more of like his diversity, I feel like,
definitely.
In terms of instruments.
It's cool though. Like, if you look at like, there's always this one Mac performance I would always watch where he was playing House of Blues, like right after Blue Slide Park dropped. And even then, like he was really good live, and he was playing the guitar and like in his set and everything like that.
Dude, there's so many videos out there. Like if you just see old videos of like Mac Miller playing the piano or guitar to like classic songs and like singing them, you're just like, damn, bro, this dude was so talented. Yeah, but also just like very cultured in like the music that he liked, and because he like took so many different elements of like past music, like jazz, old pop, and stuff like that and put it into his music, which I feel like people don't talk about. Like I feel like the people that hate on Mac, or at least like just like put him in that old Pittsburgh like Mac body when he like grew so much.
He was so smart. Like also just like the other kinds of media that he would like reference or talk about in his interviews, like just like books and movies that like were just sprinkled throughout all his mixtapes, like especially like Faces, like all like just religious references, things like that he was talking about.
Yeah, facts. Mac was also really big, or like I would say like vinyl never really died, but for the newer generation, he was a person that wanted his audience to get physical copies way before it was very popular. Like a lot of your favorite artists put vinyls out now, and that started in like 2019, but Mac always did that, and he was doing that prior with all of his albums, really. Like Faces ended up getting bootlegged early, but that's because we allowed it to. Yeah. And what's it? The Divine Feminine was like, is that the? Am I talking about the same one?
No, Divine Feminine. I mean, that shit was just the Urban Outfitters like staple.
No, but that had an actual vinyl release.
Yeah, no, definitely. Too. I'm saying that one was just always in the stores.
Yeah, like it was when y'all checked Urban Outfitters in like 2019. But like those always got pressed beforehand. Like he was really ahead of trends like that for like getting his audience the stuff that they wanted and like physical copies of music because he cared about that stuff.
Yeah, but it's really interesting, like his like Blue Slide Park to Faces kind of transition era, like really just went from being outside to the type of dude that would just lock himself in the studio for hours.
I like
and the people that he was working with too.
I like that, bro. Does that not just remind you of like what we were doing junior and senior year of college, like being real professionals, like 3 years later? Like I feel like it's pretty relatable to a lot of people. Like that just 3-year transition. Like obviously so much can change in those 3 years, but he went from like a partying, going crazy guy at like, it seemed like frat parties and music videos to like just being this incredibly intelligent musician.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was always like an incredible and talented musician.
For sure.
He was just like more immature and just like in a lifestyle where like most kids would have been going to their freshman year of college, and he was kind of like in the same mindset, but just with millions and millions of dollars, and like you're a famous rapper now, and that's why like Blue Slide Park, he's just like kind of talking a bunch of shit, and he sounds really happy, but like I don't know, it doesn't sound like the most creative. Yeah. And then Macadelic is really like the one that like I wish everybody would just listen to, because in that one you get just like the perfect blend of he's just like kind of starting to get more introspective, like question the world, question the industry, who he wants to be as an artist, and it's super dark, but like it still has that like little bit of like immaturity, and I don't mean that in a bad way. But yeah, exactly, yeah. Like you have like songs like Lucky Ass Bitch and Ignorant and like things like that.
Yeah, but there's also just songs like Euphoria and SDS that are like really like wholesome as well. Like he's like you could tell that he's in a very like in between spot.
Yeah, but even those were like a year later. Like the jump from Macadelic to watching movies
was crazy
too. Yeah,
that was like, but that's like
Objects
my
in the Mirror.
Era.
I Am Who. Like that shit is just so introspective.
Yeah, and then but like for Macadelic though, I feel like to me that's one I like. For you, I mean, it sounds like you really love that album, but like for a more person that just like average listen and stuff, like that's one people look over. I would say for sure. But like, why is that, you think?
I think just because, well, for one, it was a mixtape. Like, it's coming in between Blue Slide Park and Watching Movies, which are both albums. And then, like, I would say Watching Movies with the sound off and Faces are both better, like, than Macadelic. So if you're looking at that period of Mac, it's, like, less essential.
That is true.
But it has some great songs, and it's also just, like, really cool to see just him, like, the metamorphosizing of his, like, career and his art. Yeah.
And then he got in a relationship and dropped Divine Feminine. And then kind of just took off from there. What do you think about Swimming, though? Because I feel like that's what other people would say is his best album.
I listen to Swimming like a lot less than other Mac fans. I think just because like initially it was like hard to get into, like with him passing, it's just mad sad to hear.
Yeah.
But I think like it's really cool. Like he's just tapping in with like guys like John Mayer and like working a lot with more acoustics, like using, like you said, all of the knowledge that he had of like how to actually play instruments.
Yeah.
Like in a studio with like people that are like his equals in that. Like, yeah, really made for some interesting songs.
Yeah, at least for me, like I like Swimming. I probably don't like it as much as like Mac fans that are like, this is the best album ever, like that album. But like I hate like going to albums and saying like the hits are the best song on it. But I genuinely think like 2009 is probably like one of his best songs and a super introspective track. And then obviously Come Back to Earth like grew with ridiculous meaning.
Yeah.
After he
Another
passed,
one of the
so.
bigger ones, but I always loved Self Care too.
Yeah.
So I thought that song was crazy.
Yeah.
Music video for that is crazy too with the
Yeah,
Kill Bill.
especially after the pat. Like that shit just hits different nowadays.
Yeah.
All right, I think there is one more person we should definitely talk about though, or at least get to it because he's kind of in the same lane a little bit. But how the fuck Tyler dropped Cherry Bomb, and then Call Me If You Get Lost within a 6-year span?
Because he's the type of guy that's always trying new sounds, and even if they're good and not great, the first time around, he's gonna get it to when they're great.
I just feel like he's just like so open about it too.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows why he dropped Cherry Bomb now, and I love how open he is with his artists, or like not his artists, but his audience in general. Like he'll tell you that he doesn't like Cherry Bomb anymore, but at the time he was like, "This is why I'm doing this,"
Yeah.
and then like he also just tells stories and he's like, you get the vibe from it. But like I like after Cherry Bomb settled a year or two later, like when he goes on interviews and stuff like that, like he talks about like why he made that album, why he doesn't like it now, and why he wouldn't make sounds like that. But he also is like, but like in 2015, I was just trying to be like the fucking guy that goes insanely hard and just like makes the hardest shit, which I appreciate.
Yeah, nah, but he also had other songs like Fucking Young and stuff like that where he was trying out the sounds that would become Flower Boy.
Yeah, but his mindset was definitely like, I'm trying to make like the craziest album to ever drop in the world.
I don't know, but I feel like, yeah, he was just trying mad new stuff, and like it still has some of the lyricism and energy of like the older Odd Future days.
Yeah.
And he could tell, like, he probably knew somewhere in him that like that was going to be the last project like that. So he was just letting rage out on a lot of songs.
I feel that, honestly. Because then obviously it gets followed up by just incredible albums with Flower Boy, Igor, and Call Me If You Get Lost. So, like, that album, I feel like a lot of people, there are some Tyler fans where I'm generally still like, this album's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which I would kind of disagree with. And I just like there's obvious flaws, but I feel like if you like accept those flaws as like perfections in the album, like you wouldn't want it any other way because you just love it so much, then that's fair. Like I feel like that's also how I feel like with Whole Lotta Red. Like there's obviously
Whole Lotta Red or like Yeezus.
Yeah, exactly. Like there are clear flaws on albums like those, but you kind of just accept them because like you just really love that time period and like fuck with the songs so heavy on them.
I feel like it's funny though because a comparison people often make is like Cherry Bomb and Testing, which I think is actually an accurate comparison.
Yeah.
Like, I think that those were like
agree.
similar kind of things for Rocky and Tyler. Only difference being that Tyler followed it up by consistently dropping really good music.
Yeah.
But then, they always have the Yeezus, Whole Lotta Red, Cherry Bomb, Testing. And I feel like Yeezus and Whole Lotta Red are like more similar to each other and less than the other two because those two I actually think are like almost perfectly constructed albums. Yeezus probably is like a perfect album. Not perfect in terms of like it's a 10 out of 10, but just like I don't really think there's like anything I would change or make it
exactly.
it better.
And I think that's like the same way people will look at albums like that, especially with Tyler, like because his Cherry Bomb is just so different than like what he would put out after that.
Yeah.
It's even way different than Wolf if you really like listen to him. Like it's just like a bit more like, I don't want to say crazy because it's like that's like
Wolf kind of uses a lot more like boom bat like drums and shit like that, and then Cherry Bomb kind of is like sounds a little bit more like punk influenced in some songs and then more pop influenced than the other ones. You ever see the Cherry Bomb documentary?
I have seen it. I haven't watched it in a while, but obviously the iconic scene that comes out of that is like the Lil Wayne interview clip.
Yeah, Lil Wayne
which
interview
was incredible.
was crazy.
I wish that was like just like
Kanye's
a longer
in that too,
interview. Yeah, when he went to Kanye's place and they did his verse from Smuckers. I think it was cool how they like, but I wish more people did stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because like that's what I'm saying about that. Like you could just tell what went into it, and like you have all the media in the world to look into it of why that
he was
album
working
sounds
with like
that.
he was working with like Hans Zimmer and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's also just really cool like seeing him like direct an orchestra, and like it reminds me a lot of like Ye with like Late Registration.
Yeah, but it gets you
a lot
in his
cleaner,
mindset.
but
Yeah,
you can see that he's like really starting to, like Mac was in like the area that we're talking about, just bring in more aspects of artistry.
Yeah.
So like it's not gonna be perfect the first time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You kind of just got to accept the flaws with Cherry Bomb as they are. And if you just love Tyler like that, which it's so easy to do, then I could easily see people.
Some of the
seeing,
songs
like,
on it are perfect though, like Smuckers,
Yeah.
Fucking Young.
Yeah, there are so many incredible songs on it, and then there's obviously ones that people think
Yeah.
are just like more forgettable for sure. But I think people also will put that like Speeding Bullet to Heaven in there as well because it's kind of an outlier in Cuddy's discography as well. But I always agree. Like I see that like Yeezus, Cherry Bomb, Whole Lotta Red, Testing could all get put into that one.
Yeah.
Like gets like niche, but if you don't get it, you just not a real fan type of box.
Yeah.
Type shit.
Or
which
just
is
like
kinda
the This Gonna Grow on You box.
Yeah. That's always
That's what
I
they said
thought.
when Whole Lotta Red drop. I was like, bro, this doesn't need any growing. It's already it. But
Yeah, that's facts. I can't
we
even say I was
talked about
listening to
that a
Cherry
lot.
Bomb like that though, like when it first came out.
yeah. I wasn't as much into Tyler then. I
Yeah.
honestly got into him a lot later, like honestly with Flower Boy, then a little bit more with Igor, and then my favorite album from his is Call Me If You Get Lost.
Yeah, I would say generally people think. I mean, it's so everyone has different memories with Tyler
Yeah.
music. So I would say, to me, I would say Call Me If You Get Lost is his best album, and other people would as well. But obviously, a lot of people will say Flower Boy, and a
Yeah.
lot of people will say Igor.
A lot of people would say Wolf.
You think?
Yeah, definitely, dude.
I don't know.
Bro, if you grew up and you were really one of the kids just like drawing donuts on your backpack and skating, bro,
Yeah, maybe.
then that's like
Yeah, but imagine that like artist that you like so much just like ended up making like Igor.
I don't know, but I mean like I was still like I grew up a Mad Young. I prefer like Faces to Swimming or like
Yeah,
Circles.
that's true.
But I don't know, like you could say that Igor is like on a different level, but
Yeah, exactly. Like I just feel like that's like objectively like even in the critics world like just an
Yeah.
amazing album.
But like
across the board.
there's Kanye fans that think College Dropout is better than My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy with like every bit of their being.
I'd say it's kind of close, bro. Regardless,
We're
but
not
yeah, fuck
getting
that.
into
But,
today.
but yeah, exactly. Like, but to where Tyler came with, like from 2015 to making music like Call Me If You Get Lost is insane. Like, goated. Where would you put Tyler all time though? Like now, like
Shit.
you can include all the people that you would.
Like all rappers.
Everybody.
I mean, probably like top 25, top 20. I mean, we obviously just have a heavy bias towards like music that probably came out in the 2010s.
Yeah.
So it's easier to rank it in that. But like in that, I would say he's like top 5.
Yeah. I would in 2010s definitely top 5. All time probably like yeah. I
I
would
would say
say
top
like,
20.
I would say easily top 20.
I would have to really write out the list to like exactly place him. But
Yeah, I think he's got to be at the end of the day. He's gonna be with like people like Pac and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I just base it off of classic projects, and he has a lot more than most artists do.
for sure. I think
Way
like
more.
his name will ring bells in like the music world, just like Pac does for sure. I like even like all West Coast artists. Like he's maybe not get held to the same standard as Kendrick, but he'll usually get put in the same sentences.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, especially
I
if
don't
he
know.
just
It
keeps
depends on
dropping
what
albums.
people you're talking to.
I mean,
But
just
I don't know
people that
because
are.
they both kind of have that like institutional respect.
I
though.
mean,
Like,
Tyler's just
Tyler drops
big.
an album, it's winning the Grammy. Kendrick
Tyler
drops it,
outside of
winning Best
music
Rap
is
album.
an icon. Like
Yeah,
there's no other artist that has a brand bigger than Golf LaFleur.
but I think Cactus Jack might have got there.
I don't think so though. Like in terms of maybe honestly Cactus Jack is very comparable. But like I would just still say like
Those are the top. I mean, you get
I
like
mean,
look
bro,
at
they-
Astroworld Fest versus fucking.
yeah. Like Tyler's
Slog
selling
Gnaw.
as many Converses as Travis is selling Jordans, is what
Yeah.
I will say. Like they hit different demographics, but like I would say both of those aspects
Yeah,
of their
they had a
like,
lot of the same demographics too.
yeah, but it also is like outside. Like I feel like they're generally like the same size
I
as
feel
well.
you. Yeah, nah, bro. Yeah, Tyler's a goat.
I think we
Enough
should.
said.
That's pretty much it. I
Yeah.
mean, we could
Any
talk.
other
There's other
artists?
people we could talk about. We could talk about. I feel like we're gonna run out of time more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I might even edit it a little bit down, like the Drake part. That shit was going on mad long, but
Yeah, I feel like we're fine. I mean, I just don't really think we have time on the camera either.
if we did, who are you gonna talk about?
We could talk about. We could talk about. I mean, we could talk about anybody really. I mean, like Travis Scott's Al Faro versus Astroworld. But like, yeah,
Yeah, you call it.
yeah, exactly.
Want to do outro first?
Yeah,
Yeah, you got it.
I got it. Yeah. If you made it this far, join the rocket ship. Hit the subscribe button. We appreciate y'all. That's the new lingo. Join the rocket ship because we going up all year. Next thing you know, All the links are going to be in the description. Don't worry about it. If you're a new subscriber, shout out to y'all. If you're coming from TikTok, drop a comment. And drop a comment on who your favorite artist is and what their worst album is and what's their best album. Facts. And if you agree with any of our opinions in this podcast.
Yes, sir. That's it. We out of here.